Hey D class. Red, thank you for subbing for the 16th month in a row. Lol. Hey very. Some Camryn noises to study within the background. We'll use this instead lol. That better. Can you hear the audio now? So as you can see, I've been studying a lot. But there just happens to be 125 topics. So,
こんにちは、花です。
3、ケンさん、こんにちは。それはおいしいですか？
こんにちは、ナオミです。
こんにち、ケンです。
ケンさんこんにちは。
な、で、す。
花さん、こんにちは。
bro, I can read.
ナオミです。
こんばんは、花です。
花さん、どうぞよろしく。花さん、どうぞよろしく。花さん、どうぞよろしく。
So a common thing with Japanese, as you can see, is that desu normally goes at the end of a
こんばんは。
sentence but can mean I'm. So you don't say, Hana I'm. So you kinda got to learn the language and how to
です
translate and move around sentences at the same time lol. Like my brain wants to keep going in English mode, so it wants to put desu before the name because desu means I'm. Because in English you don't say Hana I'm.
花さん、こんばんは。花さん、こんばんは。
ナオミです。どうぞよろしく。
水、
お茶
Like here's another funny thing I've learned. Ocha means tea. But in Japan the default is only green tea. You have to ask for a different type of green tea. That's the fun part. Ocha also means tea. So I assume you would mix it with a color word. Or something. Like adding a word onto it.
ご飯、こんにちは。ください。
こんばんは、ケンです。
こばはんこんばんは
ナオミさん、こんにちは。
I assume. That's me guessing though lol.
こんばんは、花です。こんばんは、花です。
こんにちは、花。
水、
こんにちは。
ください。
ご飯、お茶
花さんこんにちは。
Like, I've been practicing writing slowly. Been going well. The keyboard half has not been. There are 107 keyboard strokes on a Japanese keyboard. Some needing multiple inputs for characters. Here's the thing. Japanese is so different. Because it has a language. But unlike English, when you write, if you're not familiar with it, Japanese just looks like lines and gibberish. Because it almost doesn't look like an alphabet like English does. Like with English, it's just different, I guess. Like the alphabet correlates to words on a paper, I guess I'm trying to say. I wanted to learn Polish, but it hurt my brain so.
こんばんは、花です。
直美です。どうぞよろしく。
ナオミさん、こんにちは。
花さんこんにちは。
ナオミさん、こんにちは。
Also, honorifics mess me up. Because they aren't the same in English. Here's the joke. I don't need to learn the spoken language. I just got to learn. 5 different types of Japanese. There are 2 sign lang versions and 3 written versions.
ご飯、
お茶。
水、
こんにちは。
ください。
どうぞよろしく。
Oh yeah. Also, here's another fun part. Japanese keyboard layout is different from American, so I got to reformat my keys again. Slightly different. But just enough when you're looking for the to make you feel like you're losing it.
「どうぞよろしく」。
花です。どうぞよろしく。花です。どうぞよろしく。花です。どうぞよ。
I wish I was taught Japanese from a young age.
こんにちは。どうぞよろしく。
ナオミさん、どうぞよろしく。
どうぞよろしく。どうぞよろしく。どうぞよろしく。よろしく。
じゃあね。
ケンさん、じゃあね。ケンさん、じゃあね。ご飯、
水。じゃあね。
こんにちは。お茶。
花。じゃあね。
また明日。
ま、あ、あ。た、あ、し、た、
ケンさんまた明日。ケンさんまた明日。さんまた明日。
I think my biggest hurdle is going to be exposure to Japanese. Like it's one thing to learn it. But it's another thing to be forced to use it.
じゃあね、また明日。
ナオミさん、じゃあね。ナオミさん、じゃあね。
花さん、また明日。
じゃあね。
寿司、水。
ご飯。こんにちは。
じゃあね。
どうぞよろしく。
ナオミさんどうぞよろしく。
I think learning this will help a lot. It definitely is nice to wake up and have multiple goals.
「じゃあね、また明日。」
Also, Japan seems formal and informal at the same time. Lol. Here's a quick look at all the hiragana charterers. Then katakana.
Chi ちちわわわちちええわちわちえみみみみすちちちさいこみいち
Hetsuba.
みちいわわいち
1
わこわちわうみええ
海海海海海
I'm doing all right.
「こんにちは」ください。じゃあね。
花さんこんにちは。
ケンさんこんにちは。ケンさんこんにちは。
ナオミさんこんにちは。
こんばんは、花です。こんばん、花です。
ケンさんこんにちは。
ケンです。こんにちは。ケンです。こんにちは。
ナオミです。どうぞよろしく。
Also, some words seem overly complex if that makes sense.
こんばんは、ナオミです。
Oh yeah, lol. What was that? Let me try to find it innards. It is 84 strokes. It means a type of Japanese surname.
「こんばんは、ナオミです。」ナオです。です。先生です。優しい先生です。優しい先生です。です。
です
優しい医者、優しい先生。優しい医者、優しい先生。優しい医者、優しい先生。先生。
医者と先生。
優しい医者と優しい先生。
Lol. Isn't it great?
優しい先生。
です。
優しい先生です。
弁護士です。弁護士です。
かっこいいです。
かっこいい弁護士。かっこいい弁護士。弁護士。
かっこいい医者です。
かっこいい。弁護士。
と
かっこいい。医者。かっこいい。弁護士。
と
やさ医者。
かっこいい。学生。弁です。
かっこいい学生です。かっこいい学生です。学生です。
優しい人です。
優しい人です。優しい人です。人、先生です。
です。
かっこいい人です。かっこいい人です。
学生です。
優しい学生です。
優しい人です。
学生。です。
優しいです。
優しいです。学生。優しい学生です。
学です。
優しい先生です。
弁護士。かっこいいです。かっこいいです。優しい弁護士とかっこいい先生。
I was close. Really, real close.
かっこいい人です。かっこいい人です。です。
かっこいい医者です。
かっこいい弁護士と優しい。かっこいい弁護士と優しい。かっこいい弁護士と優しい医者。優しい医者。
優しい医者と優しい先生。優しい医者と優しい先生。
優しいです。優しいです。です。
優しい医者、優しい先生。優しい医者、優しい先生。
かっこいいです。かっこいいです。
優しい弁護です。
優しいです。優しい弁護士とかっこいい先生。
かっこいい医者です。
優しい優しい弁護士。
かっこいいです。
I'm having a brain fart. I normally only study for 30-ish minutes a day lol.
「弁護士」「やさ弁護」です。
かっこいいです。
かっこいい学生弁護士です。
優しい人です。
お茶 ください。
先生、水ください。
医者、ナオミです。
Also, another weird thing I've learned is depends from what I've read so far. Doesn't have like. It might just be because I haven't learned much. But I haven't learned how to say you. So it's just I'm.
金です。
寿司と水。寿司と水。水。お茶とご飯。お茶とご飯とご飯。ご飯とお茶です。ご飯とお茶です。とお茶です。
I don't even wanna think about it, lol.
Sushi, kudasai. Hito.
水です。水です。
弁護士。
かっこいい弁護士です。
Yeah. Formal. Semi-formal. Casual. Semi-casual. Work relationship. Non-work relationship. The list continues.
かっこいい弁護士です。です。
ご飯と水ください。
花です。こんにちは。花です。こんにちは。こんにちは。
じゃあね。
医者です。人。
Hito.
です。
ケンです。どうぞよろしく。ケンです。どうぞよろしく。です。ケンです。どうぞよろしく。
また明日。
寿司とお茶。寿司とお茶。お茶。
ご飯。
こんばんは、花です。こんばんは、花です。
水。ご飯。
学生
ご飯ご飯寿司寿司とです
Like here is the best way to show it. The and stays the same place. But the it's goes at the end.
こんに花
Ha. I did good. Have I impressed you all with my Japanese or what? Bruh. I'm excited to learn. 9 days in. I bought myself a short story book in Japanese.
「こんばんは、花です」「こんはんです」
こんにちは。こんに
「けんさん、また明日」「けんさん、けんさん、また明日」「また明日」
こんにちは、ケンです。こんにちは、ケンです。ナオミさん、じゃあね。ナオミさん、じゃあね。ナオミさん、じゃあね。ナオミさん、じゃあね。さん、じゃあね。
けんです。けんです。けんです。こんばんは。こんばんは。こんばんは。
じゃあね。じゃあね。また明日。また明日。こんばんは、花です。こんばんは、花です。
So. A little while ago I got an offer. From a language learning platform for a sponsored stream. Not you. I won't mention their name. But I was thinking about it. Then I saw they didn't have Japanese. and pretty much had like the very common ones. Spanish, French, Italian, German, Danish, Indonesian, Dutch, Norwegian, Polish, Portuguese, Russian, Swedish and Turkish, but not Japanese. And another problem versus Duo. Duolingo can be a bit frustrating. It has ads, which can be annoying. But at least it's free to use. And you don't need to sign up money-wise to see the website. So yeah. Did people like stream? Would you like to see more of this slash? No. I might just swap to watching videos. Nah. Brain hurty. Anyone got anything to watch? Memes. Oh. I know what we can watch.
Hey everyone.
Deep fried video.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hardware News Recap of the Week. We filmed the vast majority of this episode a couple days ago, but Linus Media Group, well specifically Linus himself, has posted a response to our video. And it's not well thought out. It's pretty disappointing, honestly. So we're going to insert a section and talk about that. Then we'll get into all the other news topics for the week. Before that, this video is brought to you by Arctic and the Liquid Freezer 2. So we posted some coverage yesterday with some concerns about data accuracy, ethics, and responsibilities of Linus Media Group. Not going to recap all of that here. You should check that video out before proceeding its necessary context. Linus hastily posted a statement about 3.5 hours after our video went live. The video raised concerns again about an incredibly large amount of testing inaccuracy issues, alongside what we believe to be unethical actions and just issues with responsibility as a large outlet in general. Linus's statement, it is an unhinged, unapologetic rant where he shirks responsibility and blames others. He tries to play weird semantic games like saying, quote, "We didn't sell the product, we auctioned it," or misrepresent the timeline for when he contacted Billet Labs. He triples down on Billet Labs and says, quote, "I still disagree that the Billet Labs video is an accuracy issue. It's more like I just read the room wrong." That doesn't even make any sense. It's not the job of a reviewer to read.
Okay. My brain is rotting. Food videos it is. Linus Tech Groups was rushing tech product testing to be the first one out with the reviews. Bruh. This poor guy. All I see is CC. WHO is king him.
Do you ever wonder where the term honeymoon comes from?
No. Copyright claimed. So, doesn't mean your video is affected. But if you're a creator who can make money, it may be affected. So because I can't make money on YouTube, it's not affected, but if I was, the video might get taken down, or the video's money earned goes to the copyright claimant, and if it's found to be false, all the money goes back to you. Simplest way to explain it.
I'm about to tell you. See, in the Middle Ages, when a young couple got married, their family would give them a moon or a month's worth of honey mead. And then the young couple would go off, frolic, and make merry for a few weeks, and hopefully come back with a bun in the oven. So that's what we're making today. Not a baby. Mead. So whether you're a Saxon warrior positioned
Alright, that was funny.
So that's what we're making today. Not a baby. Mead. Come back with a bun in the oven. So that's what we're making today. Not a baby. Mead. So whether you're a Saxon warrior positioned in your shield wall or a marauding Norse Viking, get ready for that sweet, sweet taste of alcoholic honey, mead. This time on Tasting History. So a bunch of people have been asking me to make merch or merchandise. So there is some I would love to is rather long and catchy title. Now usually I read the full recipe, but this recipe is rather long and rather wordy, so I'm just going to give you the hits, but I am going to put the full translation in the description if you care to read the entire thing. For to make mead, take 1 gallon of fine honey, and to that 4 gallons of water, and heat that water till it be as lang. Then dissolve the honey in the water. Then set them over the fire and let them boil, and ever scum it as long as any filth riseth thereon. And then take it down off the fire and let it cool in another vessel till it be as cold as milk when it cometh from the cow. Then take dregs of the fine
Isn't milk warm when it comes from a cow?
finest be as cold as milk when it cometh from the cow. Then take dregs of the finest ale, or else barm, and cast it into the water and the honey, and stir all well together, and so let it stand 3 days and nights. Then draw it from the dregs as clear as thou may into another vessel clean, and let it stand 1 night or 2, and then draw it into another vessel, and serve it forth. So anyone who makes mead on the regular today is probably thinking, that just doesn't really sound right to me, because mead usually ferments for weeks, not days, and then ages for months, not a couple nights. So this is a quick mead, and probably they would have let it age longer if need be. I don't know. This mead is probably going to be not as alcoholic, very sweet and cloudy, but we shall see. Now the recipe also gives us instructions on how
Honey
to make
water.
this mead Eglin by adding various herbs such as hyssop, betony, moonwort, hart's tongue, and white horehound, just to name a few. Kind of sounds like the three Weird sisters at the beginning of Macbeth. Woo! Now Eglin is a shortened version of the word Medeglin, meaning healing mead, because in medieval recipes, usually when there were herbs added, it was medicinal, because that was the medicine that was most commonly available. And even today, any mead that is made with herbs and spices is called a metheglin, very similar to Medeglin. There are actually dozens of terms for all different kinds of mead depending on what you're adding into it and how alcoholic or how much honey is in it. There are tons. And I'm not going to go into them all right now, but there are some great resources, books, in the video description if you really want.
Sorry, I'm being your average reactionary Twitch streamer. Not saying anything for 20 minutes except blinking. Then pausing for 4 houts. I'm just drawn into the video. And the damn bee drill in the corner.
Want to kind of get into mead and how to make all the different various forms. But for today, we're sticking with the traditional 3 ingredients: water, don't use distilled water for this, mineral or spring water, that's the way to go, honey, and ale dregs or dried ale yeast. So the recipe calls for 4 gallons of water and 1 gallon of honey, but that's a lot. So I am going to be making 1 gallon of water and a quart of honey. And really, as long as you stay with the 4-to-1 ratio, you're going to be good to go. Now, as for the yeast, if you can get ale barm or dregs, fantastic. But if not, you can go ahead and use dry yeast. The thing is, in either case, they didn't tell you how much to use, and it's really going to depend on how active the yeast is. So you're kind of just guessing. What I ended up doing was about 2 tablespoons of barm, and then I put it into a little bit of water with a drop of honey just to make sure that it was active, and it was. If you're using dried yeast, it's hard to say. Usually for a gallon you would use like a pinch, but because we're only doing this for 3 days, fermenting it for 3 days, I'd use a little bit more, maybe like a third of a packet, maybe. So first, if you're worried about bacteria, you can go ahead and sterilize all of the tools that we're going to be using, though in the 13th century they wouldn't have really cared, though they actually kind of have a way around that, so we'll get to that. But it can't hurt to sterilize.
What is bacteria?
So what you'll need is a large pot for boiling, a large container for fermenting, another container for aging for all of 2 nights, and preferably like a bottle with a small opening so you can fit a bubbler or airlock. That lets the carbonation out without other things getting in. And then you can also probably use a siphon or a funnel depending on how you plan on getting the mead from one container to the next. Siphon or funnel will definitely make things easier. So following the recipe, we heat our water until it is lang. Now, I could not find anywhere a translation, Middle English, Old English.
I love how he says, aging for all of 2 nights, like it's a long time but also short time.
Anything for the word lang. So if anyone knows, great. Otherwise, it really probably just means rather hot, because what you want to be doing is to dissolve the honey in there so it's not just falling to the bottom. So add the honey and give it a mix until it's dissolved. Then boil the honey and water mixture called must. Now, a lot of modern mead makers would not boil it at this point, but I think that that's part of the way that they got rid of the bacteria that might have been in the water in the Middle Ages. If you boil it, it'll get rid of most of the bacteria. Also, this thing is going to have alcohol and a ton of honey in it, so there's not going to be a lot left alive no matter what, so you're probably pretty safe. As it boils, skim off any scum that forms at the top. Though you really shouldn't have that much scum unless you're using honey directly from honeycomb, because that can have dirt or pieces of wax in it, and that's really what's going to be bubbling up to the top. Once boiled, take it off the fire and pour it into the second vessel. Hopefully doing a better job than I did, because I spilled a bunch and it got really, really sticky for like days afterward. I couldn't get it to be non-sticky. Then you gotta let that honey and water mixture cool until it is the temperature of milk when it comes out of a cow, about 98 degrees Fahrenheit or 37 degrees Celsius.
He came in with the info.
If you put yeast in there before it gets about to that, it could kill the yeast. So just wait. It can take a while, but just wait. Then pour in your dregs or Barmer yeast, then cover the top.
Wait. That's just body template.
And leave it be out of direct sunlight. You could even put it like in a closet. Now by the next day, the mead should be in what I call the Don Ho phase of mead making, because you'll see tiny bubbles starting to rise to the top. Oh, sometimes I hate myself for those kinds of jokes. But I don't care. Makes me laugh. Now, if you were leaving it for longer than 3 days, it would actually start to get clear in this beautiful golden colored mead that we know and love so well. But in 3 days, that ain't gonna happen. So after 3 days, go ahead and transfer it, trying not to get too much of the yeast at the bottom to that next container or bottle. Then stick a bubbler in it and let it sit for a couple more nights. Now I'm actually making 2 little bottles out of this gallon, one that I'm going to try, in 2 nights, and then one that I'm going to hold on to for maybe 6 months or so. I want to see how the flavor changes. It's not going to have any more fermentation time from that first fermenting, but the aging hopefully might mellow out the flavor. I don't know. We'll see. So what inspired me to make mead today was actually because of a video game that's coming out today, or the day that this video will air, called Assassin's Creed fighting it out. So I'm assuming that there's going to be mead in there.
Yes,
somewhere.
you do.
So when you think of, Saxons and Vikings, yes, you think of mead. But mead actually got its start way before that. The earliest evidence for mead making actually comes from pottery found in northern China, dating from about 7000 BC. There was residue from honey and the compounds associated with fermentation. And there are mentions of alcoholic drinks made with honey throughout Chinese literature, including the Song of Mead by Su Shi in the 11th century. In Central Europe, similar residues have been found in the pottery of the Bell beaker culture, which roamed Bronze Age Europe more than 4,000 years ago. But the earliest written mention of mead actually comes from the ancient Indian Rig Veda, which says, "I have tasted the sweet drink of life, knowing that it inspires good thoughts and joyous expansiveness to the extreme, that all the gods and all mortals seek it together, calling it mead. High praise indeed for this our mead." Now the drink that they're talking about in the Rig Veda is actually known as soma, which is a honey drink that probably also had some hallucinogens or something in it, because it would give visions of the gods. So hopefully not what I'm making today. And while this is the first mention that we have of mead being associated with the gods, it is far from the last. The Minoan culture produced mead and credited it to their mother goddess Potnia, whose priestesses were named Melissa, meaning bee. The love that the Minoans had for this drink passed on to the other Greek civilizations. They also used these same Melissae as priestesses for Artemis and Demeter, and the drink eventually made its way to the Roman Empire. Columella gives us a recipe in De Re Rustica, as does Pliny the Elder in Naturalis Historia. There is a wine also made solely of honey and water. For this purpose, it is recommended that rainwater should be kept for a period of 5 years. This beverage is known as hydromeli, and with age acquires the flavor of wine. It is nowhere more highly esteemed than in Phrygia. Now, aren't you glad I said to use spring water rather than make you go get rainwater and wait 5 years? You're welcome. Now, after the fall of Rome, our mead journey takes us north to Britannia, or Britain. In one Welsh poem from around 550 AD called Canu y Medd, we hear of that iconic drinking vessel for mead, the mead horn. May Maelgwn of Mona be affected with mead, and affect us from the foaming mead horns with the choicest pure liquor, which the bees collect and do not enjoy. Mead distilled sparkling, its praise is everywhere. So the mead in that poem is sparkling, which is interesting because based on what I've seen with our mead, ours is also going to be sparkling. In another Welsh poem, Y Gododdin, we hear the story of a battle where those fighting were rather hungover from too much mead. Men went to Catraeth at morning, their high spirits lessened their lifespan. They drank mead, golden sweet and snaring. For a year the minstrels were merry. Their high spirits lessened their lifespan. How Welsh. Anyway, I wanted to actually thank a Welshman, the Welsh Viking here on YouTube named Jim, for helping me with a bunch of the research and the pronunciation, as well as letting me know that the Welsh word for drunk is meddwi, which literally means meaded. I love that. Now, at about the same time that these Welshmen were lessening their lifespan with mead, the Irish were drinking it too just across the water on the hill of Tara, where the banquet hall was known as Cech Mithorda, the mead circling house, which I can only imagine is rather similar to Hrothgar's mead hall, Hjorut in Beowulf, where Grendel would rip apart drunken Danes. They would willingly wait on their wassailing benches, a grapple with Grendel with grimmest of edges. Then this mead hall at morning with murder was reeking. The building was bloody at breaking of daylight. The bench deals all flooded, dripping and bloodied. Now let us pause right there while I beseech thee, if you have never read Beowulf, or if you only read it under duress in high school or college, go get a copy because it is so great and it's super
Why
quick to
throw
read.
stuff?
It's not very long. I'm going to put my favorite translation in the description, but
Baka.
any translation works. Don't watch the movie, but it's fantastic. And who to a giant cauldron? Well, out of this godly saliva rose and it's ready to drink. Oh dear. Oh, no. Okay. Well, that was embarrassing. My ale horn seems to be leaking. That's not good. Nobody likes a leaky ale horn. So instead, I'm using a
I'm
beer
looking
mug.
like a
That's
shrimp.
okay. So let's go ahead and try this mead.
We are
Smells
taking a
very
break
yeasty
from studying.
Still, which I guess is to be expected.
I spent an hour straight doing Japanese.
I like it. You know what? It's not as... When I poured it, it was effervescent, but when you drink it, you don't really get it. It's pretty flat. There's definitely some alcohol in there, though I don't know how much, because I didn't... you can find out. There are ways you can test it and everything. I didn't do it. Definitely alcoholic, though. And definitely super sweet. I think it would mellow if I gave it some more time, which I'm going to do. Obviously not fermenting, but I am going to leave it in that second bottle, maybe 6 months. Maybe in 6 months we do another episode on something else, and I drink the rest of the mead. And it is hot out, and when it's hot out, there is nothing but one highly invigorating and healthful. A very simple yet interesting beverage for a hot summer's day. But before we, because it lets me watch something in those weird aqua or maple syrup or a bit of both. So there are lots of different sweeteners that are mentioned in different old recipes. Sometimes it's honey, sometimes it's maple syrup or molasses, and sometimes when they say molasses, they mean something else. They would call like maple molasses instead of maple syrup, or they would talk about molasses from corn. Anyway, birch sap water. Now I've had it. But whatever you use for your sweetener, go ahead and add it to the jug of water or bottle of water or whatever you're
I
making
always
this in.
skip
Stir it
sponsors
all
law.
together and then add the vinegar and the powdered ginger and stir those in as well. Now, a whisk is going to let you get that ginger dissolved better than anything else, but even then, some will likely fall to the bottom or float on top. Just do your best. And then once everything is mixed together, it's really pretty much ready. And I say pretty much because one,
Sleep
it
well,
is
Veli.
supposed to be served cold. And back in the day, when you were out working on the farm, you would take it and put it into a jug, tie a string around that jug, and then have it like from a tree. The jug would be in a cold stream or the holler, I don't know, wherever there's cold water, down a well, and it would chill, so then in the afternoon it would be nice and cold when you wanted it. I'm just putting mine in the refrigerator. The other reason that I say it's almost done is because we have to ask, do we add rum to switchel? And we'll have to look at the historic record to decide yes or no. So as I researched historic recipes for switchel, none really had rum actually in the recipe. Most read like this article from 1872 from the Hartford Courant, which, right, couldn't have been mustard. I guess we'll find out as I drink this switchel. And here we are, switchel, the 19th century nectar of the weary farmhand. So I'm going to first try it without any rum in it. It doesn't smell as vinegary as I thought it would. In fact, it smells more appley, which is weird because apple cider vinegar doesn't really taste or smell appley. Anyway, here we go. Ooh, that is good. Kind of tastes like a really gingery apple pie. But there's the burn of the vinegar, but not the flavor of vinegar. You kind of get it in the back of the throat. There is no flavor. You can smell it. You know, it doesn't like, you know, vinegar is boom, but really, really good. Now, I'm going to add some of this English Harbor aged 5 years Antigua rum, which is my current favorite rum. It's Antigua, not Jamaica, like those in Congress used to have, but is that enough? I don't know. We'll stir it around a little bit. Cheers. Oh, that's the way to do it. Oh, I wish I had made 5 gallons. That's actually
Thanks for the hydrate. Thank you all for making it to stream. I hope that you all have a great day/night, and I will see you all tomorrow Thursday night.